Okay, so this is our department, which we're calling your state-of-the-art choice, although many of you already made that choice. So if you're not aware of what MSc is yet, it might be a bit late, but it's a mixture of sciences, chemistry, physics, life sciences, biology, and engineering. So we're at the center of a lot of progress in the world. That's right. We had the Iron Age, the Copper Age, Steel Age, Silicon Age. Okay, now we might be in a technology age, which perhaps isn't a material. But that's why if you look at the other departments, you will find that in every department, they're doing research on materials. Mechanical properties, electrical properties, civil engineering is all about holding buildings up. Bioimplants, chemical engineering, they're all doing a lot of materials. So that also means when you graduate, you can look for jobs in all these areas. Okay, don't just look for jobs that are advertised in material science and engineering. As we're a relatively small department, there aren't that many jobs that are specifically aimed at material science and engineering, but very often you can do the jobs which are actually aimed at other branches of engineering or even physics or chemistry. Okay, we're a 4-year program and we're accredited under the Washington Accord, which means a lot of different countries have come together and agreed to recognize their own degrees. This is not a complete list, okay, but you can see it's Australia and the United Kingdom, United States, South Africa, New Zealand, even Russia. And so if you go to work in those countries, they recognize your degree. This is our certificate. Okay, you might notice it finished in 2020, but don't worry. We just had our last audit. I've got a typo here. We just had an audit in March 2021, and there were no non-compliances. If there's no non-compliances, I'm 99.9% certain we will get our next 5 years accreditation. So you will be graduating with an accredited degree. Okay, now the faculty has decided to expand or change its curriculum, and it's sort of expanding the number of university level requirements and the number of unrestricted level requirements. So you've now got to do 20 MCs still of, sometimes it's called 24, but I'll call it 20 in this case, of UEM. You have to do one on what they're now calling cultures and connections, digital literacy, say a little bit about more in a moment, communities and engagement in Singapore studies. This one should have been, this should actually say data literacy, sorry. Because digital literacy is about computing, and I'm going to mention that under engineering core. And there's also critique and expression, which is part of the GEM program, but that's now covered by critical thinking and writing, which is a compulsory engineering module. You're now going to get 40 MCs of unrestricted, so you can take anything you like in that. It used to be 32, now it's gone up to 40, and I'll explain the rationale behind that a little bit later. You may or may not have to do an English module. Depends on how good your English is. Then you're going to have to do some mathematics. Okay, this one here is a civil engineering module, but it's actually basically statistics. So it's against mathematics. Statistics, we didn't used to do much statistics in our material science and engineering degree, but it is becoming more and more important. Machine learning is essentially all about statistics. So that's why we've brought in some statistics. And then there's engineering breadth. There's a design and make, design thinking. Design thinking is becoming quite important. We are working closely with the School of Design and Environment. So that's why there's design thinking is now going to be taught by the School of Design and Environment. This digital literacy I mentioned just now, that comes under the programming methodology. which we now have Python. It used to be C, but C was considered a little bit old-fashioned. There was a lot of discussion, should it be MATLAB, should it be Python? Then in the end, we went with Python in the faculty. And then more systems thinking. Then there's going to be introduction to machine learning at the faculty level. The faculties recognize that machine learning is going to become more and more important in the future, so they're doing more of it. Then there's project management. The older cohorts did project management in the 4th year. It's now being moved to the 1st year. And again, that will be taught by the School of Design and Environment. Something called livable cities is coming in, and creative narratives. You'll see this is still XXX, but you won't do that till at least your 3rd year. So hopefully by then they will sort out what they really want to teach there. So really, in a way, there's an emphasis more on soft skills, an increased emphasis on soft skills. And that's partly because as we go for this Industrial 4.0, soft skills are becoming more and more important. Hard knowledge is actually sort of, you can Google it and get a lot of it. You need a certain level of education to understand it after you've Googled it. The soft skills are becoming more important. Okay, and then you will do your engineering core modules. The first 2 are what we call engineering principles in practice. And we will try and get you into the lab as much as possible right at the beginning, so you can get some hands-on experience. The first one is a little bit different to the present one. This one will cover a lot more maths and a lot more physics and chemistry than presently. You'll notice that if we go back to the engineering core, there was no longer physics and chemistry in here. Okay, so they've replaced that. So we have to teach people a little bit of physics and a little bit of chemistry. If you don't have your A-level physics or A-level chemistry, we'd advise you to take a bridging module at the same time as you're taking these EPP modules. Then you will go on to principles of renewable energy. Okay, this used to be called thermodynamics. It still basically is thermodynamics, but what we're trying to do is to change the way that we teach, so that we explain more to you why you need to study this, right? And it will become clear how a lot of renewable energy relies on thermodynamics. So we're trying to teach you more by case studies as we move forwards. And that will be the same as we go for kinetics and processing. Electronic properties of materials, we still keep that in the core. The electronics industry is still a major employer of our graduates. Materials characterizations, we've expanded. At the moment, material characterization is taught by just this module down here, 3101 lab. We're now adding to that a 3101A, which is going to be a lecture module. The way this will work is in the first 6 weeks of term, you'll take the lecture module. And then the second 6 weeks of term, you'll take the lab module. We've played around with materials characterization for quite a while. First we did it as all lectures, then we did it as all labs. And now we've decided to expand it to lectures and labs and make it 6 MCs in total. This is basically feedback from industry who want our graduates to have more understanding of materials characterization. We're then going to do materials selection and design. And we're going to teach you how do you choose a material for applications in aerospace all the way up to biomedical applications. We used to cover this in the old curriculum, and then we moved it to the first year. Didn't work so well in the first year, so we're bringing it back to the third year where you understand some basics of materials beforehand. And you also see that as well as materials properties and processing lab that we already have, it's going to be shortened a little bit down to 2 MCs from 4. We're also introducing machine learning approaches in a materials lab. So you'll do machine learning for materials. Both of these two will be run under mini semesters. So half the cohort will do this in the first semester and half will be doing that. And after midterm, they will switch. You will still do your industrial attachment, and you'll still do engineering professionalism. That's basically under ethics. Going forward, you will only do one project. At the moment, graduates have been doing both a FYP and a design project. Under the new curriculum, it's now decided that you will either do an FYP or a group design project. Both will be over two semesters and both get 8 MCs. Your seniors will know that they get 12 MCs for the FYP. We will reduce the workload on that. This is actually a faculty decision rather than a department decision. And then after that, you'll only have room for a couple of electives. So there's a lot less electives that you can take for your core modules. So they only got 8. However, right, we go back to these, are we here? 40 MCs of unrestricted modules. So you can use those to take more electives, or you can use them to take a specialization, as I will talk about in a moment. Okay, so these are some of the electives that we've got. First one is basically mostly corrosion, failure of materials, polymers and composites, dielectric, we wanted to call this bioengineering, but bioengineering department wouldn't let us use their term. That's why we call it materials for biointerfaces, but really it's biomedical materials, and something on engineering materials. And then we have a whole list of more advanced modules. For specializations, at the moment we've got 2 specializations, one on polymeric and biomedical materials. Going forward, this one may get split into 2. I'm in the discussions with the Department of Biomedical Engineering, and we're seeing where we can have a joint specialization. So this one may get split into being a separate biomedical materials specialization. If that comes in, the existing cohorts will be allowed to take that. We also have one in nanostructures, and we're hoping to get one on functional intelligent materials. That's basically related to machine learning and artificial intelligence for designing materials. I've already put the paperwork up, but because of all these other curriculum changes that are going on, it's taken a while for the paperwork to work its way through the system. To complete any specialization now, you only need 20 MCs. So if I go back here, you will see you've only got 8 MCs of electives, and then your FYP or design project, if they're related to the area of specialization, can count. That's 8, and 8 is 16. So you will complete a specialization now, you'll need to use 4 MC from your unrestricted modules. We still got quite well-equipped labs. Hopefully they will get better. We are getting more space in level 7, and so that will mean we're going to be able to expand our teaching space on level 5. Some of the research will move out that. That's going to take over the next year or so. Hopefully it won't disrupt the teaching labs. The schedule we've been given is all the work's done in the holidays, but whether it will slip and we may have to squeeze the teaching labs next year a little bit to make room. Okay, so this overhead is basically the sort of schedule. And so the purple ones are your major, okay? And then the white ones are the GEM modules, or those, and the pink ones are the faculty, so it's basically maths and professionalism. Okay, these shouldn't say GEH anymore, they changed the code numbers again. But you will see there's lots of unrestricted. Okay, so you've got this 40 MCs unrestricted. And that idea there is to allow you to take a minor or even a second major. Your major now is 40 MCs. So you could actually do a major in material science and engineering and a second major in another engineering, say biomedical engineering. You'd only have to do one FYP, and then you do 40 MCs for biomedical engineering. The major issue, if you were trying to do that, may well turn out to be timetabling. Okay. There's also a double degree programs that we have. We have one with material science, engineering, and economics, business administration, and you can self-initiate a double degree program. So if you want to design your own double degree, that's possible. There's also the Doctor of Medicine with Duke NUS, although I'd have to say that is very competitive to get into. We've only had 1 or 2 MSc students manage to get into that one. Okay, double majors and single majors. If you were to go to the NUS engineering website, or even the normal NUS site, and type in double major, double major takes 4 years. It's a single degree. Double degree usually takes 4.5 to 5 years. Depends on whether you want single honors or double honors. You will actually come to these pages. Where did that go? Let me see. Can you now see? Are you still seeing the PowerPoint, or can you see the? Oh,
we are seeing the PowerPoint.
You're still seeing the PowerPoint.
Yes.
Okay. So when I clicked on it, it went to here, right? Double majors, and you can scroll down, and you can basically find your whole list of double majors. So all you need to do to find this page is type in double major programs. And if you typed in minor programs, I'm not going to click on it because it'll go out again. It will take you the whole list of minors that you can do. Typically, students enroll for their minors or second majors at the end of their first year. Okay, you can, even if you're not registered, if you take all the modules required for the minor or the second major, you can get the second major. The advantage of being registered and being declared is it helps you to get priority to take the modules. That's the hardest thing about doing a second major or a minor, is the class sizes are restricted. Right? So that's the only bit that really will hold you back. The university says it's going to try and open up more places for popular minors and second majors, but that's not really under the department's control. Okay, this is just showing that we do take education seriously. We've presented at various educational conferences. We actually organized the first 2 material science and engineering educational symposia in Asia, and we presented at the 3rd and 4th one. This is Mike Ashby, he's a famous professor at Oxford, and this is Tony Cheetham. Actually, he's now Sir Tony Cheetham, who's one of our distinguished professors. Although he's only here a few weeks of the year. He has really an advisory role. He's in his late 60s now. So hopefully you will learn both how and why when you take your degree. If you know how, you have a job. If you know why, you'll have a job. But if you know how and why, hopefully you'll end up being the boss. And I'm not sure if you're aware, there's all these rankings that the Times have, QS has. NUS MSc is #1 in Asia for employer reputation. So most of these rankings are related to research. The only one that really affects undergrads is the employer reputation, and we are actually the leading one in Asia for that. Out of MSc departments, that is, by the way. Okay, then I can take questions from there.